Hi friends, it's Julie Golding Page, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in St. Stephen, New Brunswick, Canada, along the tidal Scudig or St. Croix River and the traditional territory and home of the Passamaquoddy. And I'm grateful that they share this beautiful place with us. Today I have a card for you involving a number of discounted items from the Last Chance items list. And so I'll tell you about those as we go. And the card also uses blending brushes if you've never tried it before, or maybe you have, and I can show you this way to use them, and hopefully it will be helpful and interesting for you. And I'll also have some stamping news that's on, including our free shipping promotion that's on today and tomorrow. All right, so let's get right to it. Okay, so let's see, here's my desk. I'll move some of this stuff out of the way here. All right, so the stamps that we're going to be using today is this one. It is called Ice Cream Swirl, and the Ice Cream Swirl stamp set was regularly $33, but it's now just $23.10. Also, there are the matching dies, also called Ice Cream Swirl. You can do lots of cool stuff with these. They were regularly $48, and now they're $19.20, so not very much at all. And you can see this is the card that I made with those items. Also, the embellishments are on sale, and the paper that we're using in the background. So I'll show you more of that as we go. So the Last Chance items are a great way to get a really good deal. And what I can tell you about those items is that they are just available as supplies allow. And once they're gone, they're retired for good. So I'm just going to grab my supplies for the card and we'll get started. Okay, so here we go. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the blending brushes, and I've just got a piece of pliable cardboardy paper here. It's just the back of one of our paper packs that I had in my drawer, and we are going to put our paper on here, and we're going to use Lemon Lolly. So this color is called Lemon Lolly, and it's a really nice pale yellow. So I'm going to use that. And here's one of my blending brushes, so you can see kind of what it looks like. And you can get those from Stampin' Up! As well. And we're just going to start by loading up our brush, and we're going to tap it off a little there, just so it doesn't go and make a blob. And as you can see here, what I'm doing to start the card is I'm just starting off the edge of my paper and then coming into it. And again, that's just to make sure that there's no blob. If I put the brush down right in the middle of my piece of paper, you might get kind of a blobby effect there of the ink all coming down in one spot. This way it comes onto your paper just gradually, and so it's really a nice effect that way. And what I would say in terms of using a blending brush, if you've never tried it before, or maybe you've tried it and you weren't so happy with the result, is it's better to go with kind of a light hand. As you can see here, I'm just continuing to add more and more color. And then you can see how much color exactly you want to have. If you go really dark to begin with, that can just mean that you get a bit too much ink, especially if you're using a really bright color. This one is a really good one to work with, and pale colors, like this, are good to work with at first, or anytime for that matter, just because you don't get too much ink on any one place, and it doesn't have the effect of kind of making a great big blob quickly. Once we get into some other colors, you'll see exactly what I mean about that too. Oh, and I should tell you about another promotion while I'm working on this, because it does take a few minutes to just add on all the ink that we want. For today and tomorrow, it started yesterday actually, so for the 24th, which is today, and the 25th of April, tomorrow, we have a free shipping promotion on. So any order of $100 or more before tax is added, you can get free shipping on just for those 2 days. So April 24th and April 25th. And it applies to everything except for paper pumpkin subscriptions, but it does apply to refills and older paper pumpkin kits that are discounted if you're buying those. So it's a really nice deal. We don't get free shipping very often, and it's really easy to get up to that $100 mark if you need some supplies. So I'd invite you to have a look at the last chance items and see what some of the deals are, and you can kind of max out your value for your money that way. And if you need any help with anything, or if you don't have a demonstrator, I'd be delighted to help you. Just let me know. So there's a nice pale yellow we've got on there. I think that'll do just fine for what we need. So I'm just going to stop with the color for there. And now I'm going to get out another piece of paper, and we're going to do a second one, and we're kind of going to do a bit of a rainbow effect on it. So I just got to grab my piece of paper here. I thought I had one cut, but I guess I didn't. Okay, so let's just do this on the fly. I'll just cut a piece of paper here that I need. Okay, here we go. So here's my trimmer. So this is what happens on live video, right? I thought I had everything ready and then I didn't. So, oh well, that's all right. So I just need it to be big enough for the top of this ice cream. So the yellow paper we're going to use for the cone. And now we're going to do the top, and we're going to make it a bit fancier. So let's get this out and we'll see how big a piece of paper we really need. So you don't even really need to measure this. You could just go ahead and kind of see what will fit. So let me see if I have one kind of that big. Let me see, kind of that big, that should do it. Okay, so we'll just cut that really quick. And we've got a nice piece of paper to work with. All right, so let's put that down on our paper here. And off we go to create our lovely effect. So I'll show you what I have in my sample here. So you can see I started with pink. I went into the lemon lolly, which created kind of a peachy color. And then over here, I blended in blue, so you got a green as well. But I actually only used 3 colors. So I got pink, peach, yellow, green, and blue, but I only really used 3 inks. And then I blended between them. So these are the 3 inks that I had. I have Bubble Bath, Lemon Lolly, and Azure Afternoon. And I'm choosing all of those colors because actually they are the colors in this background paper that I'm using, this bright and beautiful background paper. Okay, so let's start with pink. And what I found worked the best was to make about half of my paper pink. And then I had lots to work with. So let's do that again. So I've got my blending brush here with pink already on it. And what I try to do is I'll keep a brush for each color family. So this one is for pinks. The one I used before, you could see, was for yellows. And I've also got this one for blues. So I have enough brushes that I use one for each color family, just to make sure that it doesn't blend different colors of ink. I don't want to have yellow on my pink brush or red on my green brush or whatnot, because it'll just make kind of a muddy color. And if you've never used these brushes before and you need to clean them, really what you can do is just kind of what I'm doing right here is just brush off the color onto a piece of paper once you've used it. And as long as you use it with the same color family in the future, it works just fine. If you do need to completely wash it and remove the color from it, just run it under some warm water and the color will come right out, because all the Stampin' Up! Inks like these are water soluble, so they will come out readily for you. And then you can really clean your brush thoroughly if you need to. To be honest, I don't know if I've ever done that with one of my brushes, because I just use them for the same kind of colors over and over. And I just kind of scribble them off afterwards when I'm done using them. I actually like having a bit of color in them already, because it does help me to build up the ink on my paper. So you can see after all that rubbing, it's just a little bit of subtle pink there There you can kind of tell what it looks like from that. And this bubble bath color is really a pale pink, but I want it to be fairly intense. So I'm going to layer it up quite a bit here. I'm just going to use move my yellow off to the side. So let's keep going with these. So I'd love to hear if you've done blending brush projects before and what you think of them. I find that they're not a difficult thing to pick up. They can take a little bit of practice just to figure out how light or how heavy to be with your hand as you're making these circles. And that's kind of one of the key things, is to make circles. The circles will blend the ink all around so that it doesn't just stay in one spot and make a big blob. And again, we will see that with the blue as we keep going, because the blue is quite a lot brighter and darker than the other two colors we're using today. So I think you'll see the difference with that. And this one, I really want a nice vibrant pink, so I'm going to keep adding more and more and more pink just to make sure. Oh, hi, Kathy. I'm sure you've done blending brushwork before. Am I right? Yeah, I think a lot of us who've done this kind of stuff for a while have tried them, but you really don't need any experience to kind of pick this up and give it a go. It can be quite almost therapeutic, just kind of to make these circles round and round, and it's kind of fun to do. I really do enjoy it. Let's see, so how are we doing? We're starting to get some buildup of color there, but I think I'd still like it a little bit brighter yet. Now I could have picked a brighter pink, but I picked this particular pink because it's actually in our background paper. So we're going to be using the Bright and Beautiful paper, and the Bright and Beautiful paper is one of those items on the last chance list, so it is retiring. Once it's sold out, it's gone for good and you can't get it anymore. It was $17 a pack, and now is only, let's see, what did I write down? $10.20. So it's a really nice deal if you're looking for a good paper. And it has a lot of colors in it. So many colors. So it can really match a lot of things. And I'll show you a few samples of the paper later. But let's get our inking done here first. I think that's a good idea. Get this all out of the way. All right. So we've got a lot of pink there. I think I want just a little bit more though. So let's see if we can do that. Also the deadline for my online classes, I've got the ones for June up now because I have to order the supplies in advance and then prepare them for you. I include packets with all the pre-cut paper supplies and as well any embellishments or ribbons that you might need. And also there will be some goodie bags in those class packets that are from scratch. I also have some all-inclusive kit classes coming up, and all of these will close on April the 28th. And so if you're interested in doing an online class, anyone in Canada is eligible to do one. And you can just click through on the link that's right here in my post, and you can see those classes that I have available. Just go right over to my website and they're all on there. Okay, look at that. So that's about half pink now. So let's start into the yellow as well. So I'm going to close this up and I'm going to get the yellow out instead. So this is Lemon Lolly. So it's quite a light yellow. And we're going to load that up, tap it off, and then we're going to start adding it here. And we're not going to add a lot of yellow, but just enough. So we'll see how this goes. And it's going to create a bit of a peach because it's going to blend with the pink. You can see I'm just kind of blending it in with the edge of the pink there. All right, let's give that another go. Maybe one or two more passes with that. And then we're going to go on and do the green. or not green, the blue. We're going to create green, but we're going to put the blue on there. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. So you're getting this kind of rainbow effect, and in fact, you can do a whole rainbow this way. It's quite easy. You only need really 3 colors, possibly a 4th if you want, but really you can do it with 3 colors. And this one is Azure Afternoon. Now this one's a lot darker, so I'm going to turn this around, and we're going to put the blue in on this side. So let me just show you how much different this is. So look at this. See how that blobs on there? It's really dark, right? So I'm just going to start going like this to make sure it's not going to blob. And I work out a little bit of that blue on my paper to the side. So now it's coming through really nicely. So let's get the blobs out again. I just find that the darker colors can tend to leave blobs, especially if you tend to press hard. They can really leave marks that you're not really looking for. So let's see how this goes. Just bring in that blue again. And now I'm starting to see a bit of a green forming there because the blue is blending with the yellow that I already put on. So let's get some of that blob out of there. And we'll just keep adding color little bit by little bit. And then I'll show you how I decide where I'm going to stamp my ice cream on here, because I'm going to kind of choose it based on what looks the best. And then we can add more color if we need to, if we don't have it quite the way we need it. So let's have a look now, and we'll see if we've got enough here. I'm just going to move that. I'm not going to close it quite yet. So let's see. Here's our ice cream stamp. So we can kind of see what it would look like if we stamp it right there. And that looks pretty nice, actually. You've got a bit of blue, you've got some green, you've got some yellow, peach, and all the way up to pink. So I think that would do rather well. So here's what it ended up looking like. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll do our stamping next then. So here's our yellow for our cone, and then we have our ice cream. Let's do the ice cream first. And we're going to use Tuxedo Black Memento ink. That's this one here. If you're looking for this ink, it's been out of stock for some time. It's supposed to be back the week of April the 28th. So that would be next week. So you can keep your eyes open for that. I know I have some customers who are waiting for it, and I would like to get an extra stamp pad of it myself. For my classes, but it's been out of stock for a while because it's been very popular. The refills have also been out of stock, and they're also supposed to come back next week. Same goes for the Versamark ink and Versamark refills. All of those are supposed to be back next week, so hopefully they'll be able to get those. All right, so I want this to really stamp dark, so I'm going to just make sure that we have lots of ink on here, because sometimes the Tuxedo Black, especially if you haven't re-inked your ink pad in a while, it can come out a little bit on the gray side, and so I always like to make sure that it's got enough ink on there. Okay, so let's see. Just kind of angle it. You can see what color scheme you want. Let's try that. And I'm going to press it down, and because it's a big stamp with a big block, I'm going to press it down right in the middle and hold it for several seconds. I find it helps to stand up to press on big stamps like these. So hopefully that will do it. Let's see how we did. Oh yeah, look at that. That made a very nice ice cream, didn't it? Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. So I'm just going to move this out of here for a minute. So I'm going to move my ink stuff away, and I'm going to move my chamois on screen here. So this is a chamois. It's called a Simply Chamois. And it's how I clean almost all my stamps. Most of the stamps, or not stamps, most of the inks that are sold by Stampin' Up! Are actually water soluble. And so you just take this special foamy material here we get from Stampin' Up, and you wet it down until it's pliable. Mine has been open for a while, so up here it's getting kind of hard. You can see I can't really move it much, but in the middle it's very pliable. So you just wet it down until the whole thing's pliable, and then the water in there will actually clean your stamps for you. So no chemicals, which is really nice. So let's move that again out of the way. Make sure I didn't leave any water there. And we're going to take our ice cream off here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our cone. So here's our cone. Let's do that next. All right. So we got our ice cream top. Now we're going to do our cone. So once again, we're going to ink with our tuxedo black. We're going to ink really thoroughly because we want it to make a nice bold outline. I don't know if anybody can hear it or not, but my two terriers are downstairs in our sunroom, which is full of windows, and they're obviously seeing something that is really exciting for them because they're barking for all they're worth. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but anyways, it's kind of fun. I'm glad that they're having a nice time anyway. They're certainly good watchdogs. Nobody can get anywhere near our house without hearing from them. All right, so let's see what we can do here. Let's try that. We'll hold it down again for several seconds to make sure we get a nice clear image. And if you're looking for the supply list for this, just click through on this post to my website. Click the part that says Learn More. That'll take you right to the information about all the products that I use today, including which ones are on sale and how much they're on sale for. All right, so that came out pretty nicely. Okay, we've got those two things now. Let's go on to one more, and actually maybe two more. We are going to stamp our sentiment. So here's a piece for that. And we're going to stamp a little cherry. So we've got a cherry right there. Let's get that out. So here's a cherry. We're going to put that on a block. And our sentiment. This stamp set has a lot of nice sentiments. So make a wish. That could be for some kind of party occasion, especially a birthday, but it could be something else too. You got thanks, and then you've got hope your day is sweet. Yum, yum. We're going to use hope your day is sweet because that could be for almost any occasion. And I like multi-occasion cards. I would love to know how often, or what is the most popular occasion to send a card for you. I think for a lot of us, it might be Christmas. Many people send a lot of birthday cards. Is it an all occasion card? Sympathy card, thank you card? I'd be really interested to know what you send the most of in terms of cards. All right, there we go. So we're going to move these up here. And now we are going to stamp our sentiment and our cherry. So let's start with the cherry. And we're going to put that right on this little piece of basic white paper. And I love the basic white cardstock from Stampin' Up! Because it's super smooth, which means it stamps extremely well. And it colors extremely well, especially with their alcohol markers, which I'm going to show you here in just a couple of minutes. So we cleaned up that stamp. And next we're going to use Azure Afternoon just to add a little bit of extra color. And we're going to stamp our sentiment there. So let's open up Azure Afternoon. And we're going to stamp Hope Your Day is Sweet. Make sure we got enough there. We're just going to stamp it right in the middle. And we're going to, again, hold it down for several seconds to give the ink lots of time to transfer into the paper. That's a good tip to know with stamping. And I didn't know that at first when I started stamping, and I just stamp and then lift up the stamp immediately. I didn't realize that it needed time for the ink to actually get into the paper. So that stamped really nicely. So this one is Azure Afternoon. And we're going to just clean up that stamp here too while we're at it, so that I know everything is all cleaned up and ready for another time. All right, so let's close up our ink. I like to close my ink immediately because it's so easy to get it on anything. Look, it's on my thumb there, and I don't even know how that happened. So here's a little tip as well. Just use your chamois, and you can make sure that it's not going to transfer off your finger to something else. So it doesn't all come off right away. It will within a couple of hand washes, but now it won't transfer to my project. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just move these over here, is color my little cherry. So I'm going to use two colors that are from our paper. So this is our background paper we're using. It's one of the Bright and Beautiful patterns. And let me just show you some of the others. There's a nice yellow one on the back, and I'll show you a few more. So there are 12 different patterns, or 12 different pages rather, and there's a pattern on each side. So you can see, look at all these nice patterns you can get. And there's such a host of colors in there that these are good for almost any project you want to work on. So these are the really colorful sides, but if you flip them over, you have more monochromatic ones. And so those are good for all kinds of other things. Oh, and there's a nice rainbowy one. And this one with blue. So that's again the Bright and Beautiful paper. It was $17 a pack. Now it's $10.20. So a really nice deal there. And one of the colors in there is Berry Burst. And this color here is Lemon Lime Twist. So I pulled out my Stampin' Blends markers. They come in pairs. So when you buy this one, for example, that's Lemon Lime Twist, you'll get a dark and a light version. I'm going to use the dark version here today. And same goes for this one. It is Berry Burst. You get a light and a dark, and I'm going to use the light. So let's take that Berry Burst, and we're going to color right now this little cherry. So for my whole project, I've taken advantage of Stampin' Up's great color coordination. They always tell you which colors are in their papers and so forth. And then you can just go with those colors when you're making your project. And I find it a lot easier that way because then you don't have to invent all the color matching. They have done it for you. All right, so I've just used Berry Burst and Lemon Lime Twist there. And now it's time to do some cutting. So let's first of all take our sentiment. We're just going to use our paper snip scissors here. And we're going to cut in on either side and make a chevron shape. So I love this little technique. It's one of the first ones I learned when I started making cards. And I love it because it's so simple. It's so easy to do for anybody. I always teach it to any beginning card makers because you don't need any special equipment for it. You just need scissors, and anybody can make it work really well. No die cutting or anything like that is needed. And yet it makes it so decorative. I really like it. Okay, so there you go. There's our sentiment, and now it looks fancy. Just with those few little cuts. So let's move those little papers out of the way. And now we're going to use our die cut machine. And we're going to cut out all these pieces. So I have this little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And if you're looking for one from Stampin' Up, I always like to tell people that there's a blue version. So if you type into the search bar in the Stampin' Up website, limited edition, it'll bring up the boho blue version of this machine. And it's actually a few dollars cheaper than the white one. So you might as well save your money, have an extra coffee or something, right? So that's a little tip for you. So we're going to put in the plate, and it comes with instructions right on the plates. This one is plate number 1, so you put plate number 1, and you'll need 2 plates number 2. 1, 2 there. You can see mine are really weathered. This one even has cuts, but they still work really well. I bought replacement plates, but I bought them months and months ago because these old ones had worked just fine. So I just kept using the old ones. Even though they look a mess, they work really well. So here's our cone. We're going to put that in. And here's our die. So we're going to take that ice cream cone die out. So here's the cone die right here. And you can actually use this to cut out 2 cones, and then you can fold them in the middle. And you can do some fun stuff with that as well. So there's lots of other possibilities, but I'm just going to use this in a very straightforward way to cut out my cone. You could use scissors. I think it's a pretty easy shape to cut out, but I have the dies, so I'm just going to go with those. We're going to feed it in this way. Got to hold it down here. I'm just using a little piece of washi to hold it in place, because my plates are really old and a little bit bowed. So this will just keep them kind of in one place. All right, there we go. So we're gonna run that through and it'll cut our nice little ice cream cone for us. Okay, so here we go. All right, so there's our cone. And you could maybe cut some things out of that yellow that we blended as well, if you need that. I'm just going to put it aside for now. And there's our lovely little cone. So I'll just put that aside. And next we're going to cut our ice cream out. So I have this outline of ice cream that we're going to use. I am sorry to see this ice cream set of stamps and dies going and retiring, because I've had a lot of fun with this set. There's so many possibilities and so many different cards and things you can make with it. It's really fun to work with. All right, I'm just going to cut that out around here, just generally, so that it will fit in my little mini machine here, because the paper's too big. And then we'll put that on the plate. And we'll use some washi to keep that in place so we can run it through. Oops, got a piece of hair in there. Okay. So one of the things I like about the Stampin' Up! Machines is that there is no electricity involved. So it's a tool that I understand, because it's pressure from the rollers just inside the machine here that make the cuts. It's really simple, it's safe to use, and I like it very much. I've even used it in a power outage because it's just my arm that I need to crank through with my hand and my arm. All right. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to take that washi off because you can reuse them several times, I find. Okay, so there's our ice cream. So we'll put that over there. And now we're going to cut out our little cherry as well. And like I mentioned before, you could just cut these out with scissors. But since I have the dies, I like to just do it with the die. It's kind of more precise and just a little bit easier as well. You don't have to do all that fussy cutting, but certainly you could do it with scissors if you prefer. Okay, here we go. Let's do that. I should also tell you too, there's some new products coming out because we have a brand new annual catalog coming out at the beginning of May, on May 6th. And also some online exclusive items are coming out. And I've got some paper shares ready for purchase. And so if you're interested in a paper share, do click through to my website and have a look. A paper share, if you're not familiar with it, is where you get all of the new patterns from a certain number of paper packs without having to buy a pack of everything. So it's like a sampler, really. And that way you get to try all the new things that are coming out. So if you're interested in that, please check out my website under product shares. And if you can't find it, just send me a message and I'd be happy to direct you to the place that I have it. Okay, so we have all our pieces here now. So let's get our card ready and we're going to put it all together at this point. All right, so let's begin with our papers here. So we have our Bright and Beautiful paper. You could use that side if you wanted, but I like this multicolored one. We have a length of this Azure Afternoon cardstock as well. And we're just going to adhere the decorative paper to the cardstock to start with. So very straightforward. We're just going to try to center that as best we can. You can always go ahead and measure if you wish. I like to just eyeball it, but feel free. And this one was just a little bit, the decorative paper was a little longer than the cardstock, so I'm just going to cut off that little bit of edge. Did I get it all? Okay, that looks good. And we're going to take our card base, and this is a card base in Bubble Bath, which is a very pretty color. It's a pale pink, but it has a hint of kind of lavender in it as well, and it's really a pretty color. I find it a very appealing color. All right, so I'm going to again attach this panel to the card base. And the card base is just half an 8.5 by 11 paper. Whoops, I didn't mean to flip that over. There we go. And we'll just put that again kind of in the middle of the card. See if I can line it up where I mean it to go. There we go. All right, so that's straightforward so far. Now we're going to put all our pieces on. So first thing I want to do is just attach these two pieces. So again, I'm going to use my adhesive, which is Stamp and Seal. You can get refills for this, and I'll show you what you do for that. You just take the casing apart, just pull it apart. This part comes out, and you get a new one and put it in. So easy as that, you can refill it. And the refills are quite a bit cheaper. There's a few dollars cheaper than the one that comes with the full big casing, so I find it worth my while to just buy the refills, and that's what I always do. And then I can just roll that up. All right, there we go. And we're going to place this on however we like. There, that should stick really hard. Okay, so now we're going to flip these things over, all of our die cuts, and we're going to use dimensionals to add them to our card. So there's not really a right way to put the dimensionals on here, just wherever you think you need them. And I think I'll just use a small dimensional, just a little tiny one, on this cherry. So we'll take all the papers off here. All right. And we'll just arrange that on our card wherever we'd like. Just kind of in the middle there. And we'll put the cherry on as well. All right, so that's good. Now let's see, what do we want next? Let's put on our sentiment. So I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals just right in the middle here, because I want them to be on this ice cream part, or ice cream cone part that is popped up, rather than over here. Depends if you want to pop up the middle or the whole thing, whatever you'd like to do. I want that to pop up just a little more. Okay, let's see. Is that straight? I think that's relatively straight. And then the last thing is to put on these nice little gems. So these gems are also a sale item that is retiring soon. And they are called Tinsel Gems 4-pack. So they come in these 4 colors. So you get a green, blue, yellow, and pink. And they're very, very pretty, actually. This one stuck to me, so let's use it right away. There we go. And we're going to use them on our card today here. Okay, let's see. I played with the arrangement of these on my original sample card here. So I'm just going to do kind of the same thing again because I liked how that turned out. I find sometimes you have to sort of play with them and just see where you like the arrangement to be. All right, let's do a big yellow one. Whoops, I put that one on the wrong one. Here, let's move that one. And we'll put that one up here. And a yellow one down in the middle. How about kind of there? Yeah, to kind of make them look random, I guess. So that is the end of our card, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and remember that the stamp set is on sale. It's about $10 off, and the dies are less than half price. They were $48, now they're $19.20. So if you bought the stamps and the dies together, they would come to a total of $42.30 before your tax. And remember that the free shipping promotion is on for April 24th and 25th with any orders of $100 or more. The only exclusion is your Paper Pumpkin subscriptions. And also the last thing is that I have some classes that are closing on April 28th. So if you're interested in an online class, please check those out. And if you have any questions about any of this, please let me know. I would be delighted to meet you and chat with you online. Thanks so much for joining me today, and have a wonderfully crafty day. Bye for now.